created this spot for the enjoyment of the people of our region. And it's still there today, and it's a beautiful museum. Mary Hill is a real spot to visit in my mind. What the Sam Hill, one of my favorite guys and one of my favorite places. More than 125 years ago, a group of women gathered together here in Olympia, the state capital, and formed a new club, the Women's Club of Olympia. They were brave and courageous ladies because in those days, women weren't supposed to have clubs of their own. Brave and courageous? Yes, they were, because they weren't really supposed to do things like have women's gatherings without some men in the room. And they weren't supposed to advocate for a new library or a better community without a man's leadership. But they were diligent and they stuck to their guns. Federation Forest on the slopes of Mount Rainier is really one of the examples of the good work of this women's club and many other women's clubs around the state who gathered the funds and participated in the purchase of that land for a state park system. I would guess that anybody that served in the state capitol of significance and prominence in the last 40 years, 50 years, maybe 100 years, has been in this room, has been in this house, has attended functions here, has come here for organization meetings, and been here to pay their respects to someone who's deceased or to start a new campaign, you name it. The Women's Club has served this community so well. This is the Abigail Stewart House, better known as the Women's Club of Olympia, a wonderful place to gather and truly one of my favorite places.
A second, check, check, that's still going. And, all right. So Mayor, you heard that, we're starting and he's going to come in a minute or two, so we're about to get started.
In the late 1800s, Robert Moran was one of the wealthiest and best-known shipbuilders in the world. The Moran Brothers Shipyard in Seattle built everything from Yukon River sternwheelers all the way up to battleships for the United States Navy. But Moran's health wasn't so good. He looked for a sunnier climate, and he chose a location on Orcas Island in our beautiful San Juans. And there on Orcas, he built an incredible home, which today we know as Rosario Resort. But adjoining that home, there were hundreds and hundreds of acres, most of them in near wilderness condition. He donated the back property to the state of Washington, and it became Moran State Park. In the 1930s, the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, located a whole contingent of men there to change the environment. They built a road to the top of Mount Constitution. On the top of the mountain, they built a beautiful big observation tower, which resembled a watchtower built in the Caucasus Mountains of Russia in the 12th century. You can climb to the top of the tower and see all over the San Juan Islands, down into Puget Sound, up into Canada, and out towards the coast. It truly is a beautiful location and a great spot to visit. I hope every Washingtonian has the opportunity to visit Moran State Park someday. It was one of our first state parks, and it's truly a gem for all of us to enjoy. Moran State Park is truly one of my favorite places.
For 20 years, I stood in front of classrooms full of 14-year-olds, trying to show them that government isn't something distant, but instead something that shapes their daily lives. TVW was my lifeline. It pulled back the curtain and showed my students the real people, real decisions, and real processes that make our state work. Now, being a part of TVW, I get to help other teachers give their students that same spark of understanding and empowerment. Civic education has never mattered more. People are searching for a place they can trust, where they can see their government honestly, openly, and without spin. When we understand how our democracy works, we understand our place in it. TVW gives every Washingtonian that chance. It equips teachers, students, and community members with the tools they need to feel informed, confident, and ready to participate in shaping the future of our state.
Oh, here we are, just
Good afternoon. I'm Allison Kretzinger with the Department of Transportation, here with esteemed guests to provide an update on US 2. First, you'll hear from Governor Bob Ferguson, followed by Secretary Julie Meredith of the Department of Transportation. Mayor Carl Floria will be joining us virtually, followed by Mayor Henry Sladek of Skykomish.
Thanks
Governor.
so much. I'm going to have you two come to my left side just so we get that monitor there. How's that? Yep. Thanks so much. Sure. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. We know it's the holidays, and we know you're very busy, so we appreciate you taking time to hear this update on State Route 2. We all understand how critical reopening Highway 2 is for residents of our cities and communities, for our economy, for the ski resort, for travel across our state. So that we're very, very mindful of that. And the team is working extremely hard to get it opened as quickly as possible. So I do want to be clear, fully opening Highway 2 is going to take time, a long time. And we're still evaluating the full extent of the damage. Repairs like this, as you might imagine, are heavily dependent on the weather, and the weather this time of year obviously is not ideal. Some repairs will need to wait for the snow to clear in the mountains. We understand, though, that access, even if limited access, is extremely important. So we have good news to share in that regard. starting on Monday, this coming Monday, at 6 a.m., we will begin a limited reopening of a section of State Route 2 from the east. So in other words, from Leavenworth, between Coles Corner and Stevens Pass. So that's basically between milepost 85 and 64. It's about a 20-mile stretch. So this limited reopening will allow individuals starting Monday morning from Leavenworth to access Stevens Pass. And Stevens Pass can open for skiing, which is also extremely good news. To do this, we'll be using a pilot car near the summit for about the last 7 or 8 miles as you're heading from Leavenworth to the summit. When you get about 7 or 8 miles from the summit, there will be a pilot car. We're down to a single lane at that point. But a pilot car can get individuals to the summit starting on Monday. We certainly understand how important the ski area is to the local communities and to our economy. On the west side, and Julie, by the way, will talk more about this and talk it through in more detail. On the west side, that's going to take a bit more time. So we're currently continuing to clear significant debris. There's a bridge, Mayor will chat about this, just a short distance east of Skycomish that has significant challenges. So inspections have been going on there for some time and are continuing to go on. Our team is conducting that detailed inspection to determine if it's going to be safe for travel or if repairs will be needed. Our plan is to report back to the public on that side of the access to Stevens Pass on Tuesday. In fact, we're going to be in Skycomish. The mayor is graciously hosting us on Tuesday. I think we're going to be having a gathering there at 10 a.m. To provide update to the community and to hear from the community, obviously, the impacts that they're experiencing. But our goal is to be able to announce on Tuesday morning when we can reopen access to Stevens Pass. But that is totally dependent. I just want to underline this and underscore this, what the evaluation is from the experts, the crew that's out there examining this bridge that's a short distance east of Skycomish. That's totally what depends on this. So more to come on that. I want to thank both mayors who have joined today. I had a chance to talk with Mayor Flory of Leavenworth, who I think we're going to hear from him shortly. Obviously, it's exciting news for Leavenworth to get access going up to Stevens Pass. It's great news, obviously, for the ski resort. And we're mindful that for Skycomish, we're not there yet, but we have our fingers crossed. And just want to say how much I appreciate, especially during the holidays, there are an awful lot of workers out there working extremely hard to do everything we can to get what we can opened to connect our state and to get access up to the ski resort and connect our community. So I just deeply, deeply appreciate all the hard work that folks are doing during challenging circumstances and also during the holidays. So with that, I'm going to turn to Julie, who's going to be next. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Julie Meredith, and I'm the Secretary of Transportation for the Washington State DOT. As we experienced this last month, significant atmospheric rivers with widespread flooding, landslides, levee breaches, and significant damage to our transportation system. Our WashDOT crews have been working through the storm and continue to work around the clock to restore our highways and our bridges. Reopening a road is not just about clearing what you can see. After storms like these, the greatest dangers are often the hidden ones. Washed out roadbeds, unstable slopes, undermined bridges, and saturated soils. Every decision our department makes to whether reopen a road or not is grounded in safety for the public first. We know these closures can be frustrating, especially during the holiday and ski season, but reopening a road fully requires that we access it for safety and not take a risk as we open it up to the public. To date, WashDOT's opened more than 90 roads that have been damaged through this storm section, and we've executed multiple emergency contracts to clear debris and begin repairs. At some locations, we've addressed quickly, and others, as the governor pointed out, require more time and more intensive work. As of today, there are about 8 sections of highway that remain closed, including US 2, and this changes, the openings and closings change every day as we continue to work. On the east side of US 2, I'm going to expand on what the governor talked about. We will be able to open up US 2 between Coles Corner and Stevens Pass next week. And I just want to emphasize that this is a limited reopening. Beginning Monday, December 29th, with the pilot car operations from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., so primarily the daylight hours, this access will continue. This will allow us to restore access to the Stevens Pass ski area from the east side, similar to accesses we've opened up at Mount Baker and Crystal Mountain. We expect this pilot car operation to remain in place for about a month until we can safely open one lane in each direction. So still not full capacity, but increased capacity. And I would be remiss if I didn't call out that US 2 will remain an active construction zone. Safety for our crews, contractors, and the drivers is critical. Drivers should follow the posted speed limit and the pilot car. Adjust your speeds accordingly. Adjust your following distance as necessary. Expect delays and plan that extra travel time. And this is winter, so be winter ready with a full tank of gas and your emergency kits. It is winter. I just want to stress that. This pilot car operation is weather dependent, and winter conditions may still require US 2 to close due to snow, avalanche, and spin-outs, things that normally happen on these roads in the wintertime. US 2 should not be considered a cross-state route at this time. Travelers should continue using I-90 or US 12 for east-west travel until conditions allow permanent paving, likely not till the spring or summer. Tumwater Canyon, if I could just talk a bit about Tumwater Canyon. There was significant damage through Tumwater Canyon near Leavenworth, where multiple locations experienced shoulder failure, guardrail damage, or roadway washouts where the roadway was washed away through the river. Once the river level drops through the canyon, contractors will begin stabilizing the slopes and repairing the roadway. At this time, we anticipate reopening Tumwater Canyon section mid to late March with at least one lane in each direction. Until that time, the detour around this closed section via Chum 6 Highway and SR 207, which is approximately 22 miles, and it will add an estimated 20 minutes of travel time each way. We ask that people traveling this route be alert, drive undistracted, and drive for the conditions that you experience on the highway. Be prepared for this additional delay. We know how important US 2 is to the communities, the businesses, and the travelers, and we are working to restore access as quickly and as safely as possible. Now, if we could turn to the west side. As of today, the highway remains closed at milepost 54, just outside Skycomish. At this location, we have a bridge that we've been removing many, many feet of debris above the roadway, and we're still working to remove the debris below the roadway. We're also working to remove the debris further east of that bridge and inspecting all the drainage systems along there that have been damaged. Debris removal is ongoing. We're sending our bridge inspectors out. Once they can complete a full inspection of that bridge and determine what damage is there, we will report what the next steps will be. And as the governor said, we expect to report out next week on Tuesday what the bridge inspections have found. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheila. So, Jim, do we have, I think we have the mayor of Leavenworth that hopefully if this, we've tested this, hopefully this works, and Mayor Harris, and if you can, go right ahead.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Governor and Jill. That was, we appreciate the efforts. I got to say, as Christmastown, USA, I don't have to say how devastating it's been. You know that and are aware. And what I do appreciate is that you're taking it as the emergency that it is and throwing all the resources that you possibly can at it. So we do appreciate that. We appreciate the potential for this first step towards that restoration. We know it's going to be a long time coming. But as one who has responsibility for a community and a town, I know how important safety is, that all you do has to be guided by that. And so I do appreciate that you're not just rushing, but you're doing it in a safe way. And I can appreciate that. Sometimes I get blamed for things we do here with all of our crowds when I'm taking safety into account. And that's just part of that we have to live with and work towards. So again, I just want to thank you for the efforts. It's been devastating, but we're just thankful that we've got your cooperation to move us forward.
Busy. If you're able to hold on, there might be questions for you, I'm not sure, from the press. So if you don't mind holding on, if you can't, we understand. And if there are questions, I'll repeat it so you can hear it. So thank you so much, and appreciate your understanding all the work you're doing in Leavenworth. And now we have Mayor Sladek from Sky-Comish, who's going to chat about his side of the closure. Mayor.
Great. Thank you. Great. Thanks, Governor, and thanks for giving us the chance to get together today and hear what progress has been made. We understand as well that this was a huge event and sort of unprecedented. I've lived in the area up there for over 20 years and haven't seen anything to that extent. So we often deal with highway closures on Highway 2 between Sky-Comish and Stevens Pass, or all the way to the east side. But this one, with multiple washouts and problems, has created we understand the longer term problem and the difficulty in even just assessing and trying to figure out how long it's going to take. So today is a great first step. It's good news that folks can access the ski area from the east side, and then hopefully get better news or get at least better assessment about the west side. The ski area business is huge for us, for the whole Sky-Comish Valley, from Sky-Comish down through Gold Bar, Sultan, Monroe, all the way down the valley, Highway 2. And so once that can get reestablished, or at least have a better idea, that'll be helpful for our whole community. It's been difficult even just dealing with the flooding, with the folks in their homes and getting that cleared. And I think people understand that it's taken a while to get the assessments on the highway and get the roads back open. That's always the second most important thing for us, is dealing with the folks in the local community that might have damage and repairs to take care of. Fortunately, no one was injured in any of these events in our area. That was the first thing, and then having access through Highway 2, because it does open up the whole east side, not only the ski area, but we rely on all those folks going to Leavenworth and Chelan and up to Methau in the winter and summers as well. So it's huge access for outdoor recreation, as well as visitors. People go to the east side to visit family and friends, especially this time of year, and that's had a huge impact too. So again, we appreciate the progress that's been made, and look forward to when you come and visit Tuesday and more of an assessment's made up at the washout at milepost 54, then hopefully we'll have a better idea how long that might take. So thanks again.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mayor. And we are our plan is to go visit the site at the bridge with WashDOT and with the mayor, and look forward to seeing in person. And again, we will definitely have an update one way or the other on Tuesday from Sky-Comish, and look forward to that. Thanks for hosting us. With that, we're happy to answer any questions. If there's a question for the mayor of Leavenworth, if he's still on, so we'll try and get that to him as well, but happy to answer any questions.
Governor, I'm curious about your all's collaboration with Stevens Pass. Obviously, they're not here to talk about that part, but there have been a lot of people frustrated about maybe not getting refunds for their passes and things like that. Yeah. Obviously, this provides a new route for them to be able to actually get up there and ski, although it could take them a lot longer. Can you talk about the collaboration and kind of the conversations that have been happening with Vail Resorts and Stevens Pass?
Sure. Julie, why don't you speak to that, because I know there's been a lot of conversation. But Julie, you want to go ahead?
As we work to put in the policies around the operation of the one-way pilot car, at least from the east side, they've been helpful to talk about what property, where we can queue people, how we can operate safely, how will we operate coming in and going out. So that's been really helpful. They've been challenged with this, and so they've been willing to work with us on a lot of things to get it to go safely. I really can't speak to the policy on their refunds or not, but I can say opening up will give an opportunity for all the skiers that they didn't have before.
Secretary, given that the pilot car wraps up at 6, has the resort agreed to end operations at like 3 for people to get back to the cars?
They have worked with us on the operations of their facility to work with our piloted cars, so that's been really helpful for that side.
So just to emphasize, there's close coordination obviously going on with the work that's being done, ski resort, mayors. I mean, there's a lot of conversation going on to make sure everybody knows what's going on and how we're going to do this. So, so that collaboration is certainly happening.
Can you get some more information on this bridge near Skykomish? Which bridge is it exactly? What are the concerns? Is it under risk of, having to be rebuilt, or is it a structural problem? Can you give us more detail?
So it's about at milepost 54, just outside of Skykomish on the east side. And what happened is the debris, there was a debris pile of about 4 or 5 feet over the bridge that we had to excavate, remove. And then there was debris up under the bridge, and it's crammed up under the bridge. I mean, that's not a technical term, but it's stuffed up under there. The contractor's working to get it out. It's a little difficult given that it's under the bridge. So we want to get all that debris out so we can see the foundations, and we want to see the girders, what it's seated on. And then just upstream of that, there was debris and damage to the culverts and the drainage systems. So we want to make sure those drainage systems are functional and that the shoulder isn't, undermined. And so that's the work we've been doing. The contractor's still at it. We've had our bridge inspectors out there a couple times. They're going to continue to go out and make sure that they can see all they need to see. And the end result is, if the bridge is damaged, we'll need to fix it.
With the pilot car program, is this going to be limited capacity? Like, people have to make reservations if they're going to go through there?
There's no reservation. The question, just so folks can hear perhaps, is, hey, for this pilot car system for those last 7-8 miles on the way to the summit, is there a reservation system? No, there's no reservation system. But, that's a long stretch to have a pilot car for anyone who's been through that kind of experience. And so, back to Julie's point, folks have to be patient, but we understand even limited access, how important that is. Like we understand that very clearly, and so that's why we're making this decision as soon as we possibly can. But no, reservation won't be needed, but patience will be in order to reach the ski resort area.
And just to be clear, you have to take that pilot car option back as well.
Correct.
Is this going to be on some sort of timeline? Should people top of the hour, every half hour kind of thing? Do we know how often?
I don't think I will check and get back to you with that level of detail. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. It is one lane. So I was talking with just confirmed with Julie before we walked in here. So it is down to one lane of traffic for those 7 or 8 miles leading up as you're going east to the summit. The last 7, 8 miles is one lane. So you'll be waiting until the traffic coming the other way clears and opens you up. As you know, that's a long ways, but that work is going to be continuing, and it'll be a pilot car situation for about
30 days.
For about 30 days. So again, this will be. I think this is part we want to communicate is, we're not going from where we are to opening the highway in one step. That's just not the way this is going to work, right? But where we can open it up bit by bit, that's what we're going to do. Responsibly, safety for the workers, safety for the public, but we're not waiting around. We can open something up. We're going to open it even if it is limited.
Do we have a dollar amount on how much damage has been done to Route 2 yet?
Let's put it this way. When we haven't yet been able to dig out all the way underneath it, no, we do not. And so, and we understand the interest in, no one's more interested than me in knowing what that hit is going to be, that financial hit's going to be. That is for sure. So I ask my team probably about 15 times a day, what it's going to be. And the answer is, look, we just have to see everything. And that's not just for Highway 2. That's across our state. We got more than a dozen counties that there's been an emergency declared. And so a lot of that work is still ongoing. Obviously, though, we're working hard. In fact, the mayor and I were talking about this. A lot of work's being done now to compile the harm done to individual homes, to communities, to infrastructure, because that's obviously our ask that we make for disaster relief with the federal government, which will be coming in the coming weeks. That's all the information we're putting together. But as soon as we have a feel for that, a number for that, even if it's a rough estimate, of course we'll share that, but it just would be wildly premature before we even have a chance. This is just one piece of infrastructure in a big state where we don't even know yet what we're looking at.
What does the plan look like for emergency first responders if we're talking about an 8-mile stretch of one-lane road and maybe people are kind of snaking along the way? What does it look like for first responders if perhaps they need to get through in a hurry?
Yeah, well, Washington will obviously work with our emergency personnel to make sure that it's safe for everybody. Look, we have situations like this around the state from time to time where you're down to one lane. You've got to have this piloted system. It's not unusual. They're used to this. That said, it's wintertime. It's a pass. It's challenging, which is why I think you heard from Julie pretty clearly. Look, we're monitoring this in real time, and it's subject to the usual conditions that you have. So, but Washington's prepared for that. They're experts in this sort of thing.
Secretary, can you share some of the coordination that's going along and also maybe some of the partners and even the county partners that are helping with this effort, and some of the contractors that you have.
Yeah. We've been working closely with the cities and the counties. As you've heard, the mayor's here. They're very interested in getting access back, and so the partnership there has been really helpful. Even at Stevens Pass, we're going to need to rely on some of their property to queue up for these piloted exercise, right? And they've been helpful in setting that up with us. So that we wouldn't be able to do that without their support. Our contractors across the state have been working with us through these emergency contracts. They're experienced. They're really good at what they do. And I think you can see it across the state where we've been able to open up at least partially and then fully when they've got the work done. So that's been really good work.
And how are right now? How are supplies going to those residents in those small towns there? Are they being airlifted in, like water? I don't know.
I'll let the mayor speak about that.
Yeah, can you speak to supplies for Skycomish?
Sure. Like Skycomish, again, since we've had access from the west, that's solves 99% of the problem. So we've had good access, and beyond Skycomish, there's really only a number of limited residents, some cabin communities and stuff like that. As I understand it, all of them have access as far as we know. Really, 54, that milepost 54 where the washout is, beyond that there's only a handful of cabins, even beyond that, and I think they've had, as I understand it, they've had access even in a limited way with the help of WashDOT. So I'm not sure about the east side.
And Governor, I know this. The President Trump signed the emergency declaration,
yes.
But we're also going to have a major disaster declaration coming, hopefully. So you want to share where you are in the stages of getting that?
Sure. A lot of our focus is on preparing for that request for disaster relief. Maybe I'll start by saying I appreciate, the President granting, I think you alluded to, the emergency declaration, which again is very different than a request for disaster relief, right? The emergency declaration is very short-term, life-saving measures, clearing debris, that type of thing. But we deeply appreciate that. I spoke to Secretary Kennedy, I think on Christmas Eve, if I've got my days right, and his agency declared an emergency, which helps us on the health side, right, for clearing administrative hurdles to get folks the assistance they need from a public health standpoint. So we appreciate that as well. So far, each of the requests, we've been granted. When I spoke to Secretary Kennedy, he made it clear his team had been working through the holidays to make that happen, which we appreciate. So we're, from my level on down, all the way down to coordination with FEMA. At the staff level, we've been in pretty close contact with our federal partners and appreciate their assistance, to be sure. Having that request for disaster relief granted will be absolutely critical to the state of Washington, and I've communicated that in my conversations with folks I've been talking to, and you can be sure it'll be a very detailed, very persuasive case for disaster relief. And so I'm prepared to talk to whoever I need to talk to, go to D.C. if I need to meet with folks to make the case. And we're also looking at different ways to communicate it. There's a package that goes traditionally. There's probably more information than you're probably asking for, but there's like a package that goes. We're looking at things we can do to communicate that go beyond that in different ways as well. So I think you'll see a pretty robust request. We're moving as quickly as we can on that. So I think we're talking weeks, but we have to be thorough as well, and we have to get information from the community, from the ground up. That's individuals whose homes are impacted. There's a lot of detailed information that's got to come up. So it's a big, big project, especially on a scale like this of so many jurisdictions, so many counties, both sides of the state. It's a big job for the team to put together, but we're going to do it as quickly as we can, but also we need to be complete as well.
Secretary, I'm wondering if there's anything that WashDOT is doing now to prevent another washout such as this to happen, and if there's anything that could have been done to prevent this.
I guess I'll say again, it was an unprecedented event that happened. Things that were flooded or damaged that had not been flooded in the past. But I think some of the things the department is focusing on to be more resilient, addressing our culverts, if you will. We've been working with the governor on his new package that would address our preservation and maintenance needs. So while this was an unprecedented event, we look forward to addressing the preservation that the states need in the future.
And I'll just add to that, in my proposed budget, $2 billion, right, for maintenance and preservation. That's a historic investment that I'm proposing. I do feel we're getting a lot of enthusiasm from legislators on that, but that's going to be critical. And I'm confident there will be, back to the earlier question about, hey, how much is the damage? Once we better ascertain that, that'll be a big part of the conversation with the state legislature, right? Once we got a sense of what the damage is, I'm very interested to your question on, in my travels to communities like, say, Mount Vernon, where downtown was essentially dry because of a seawall that was put in just not that many years ago, right? With some federal funds and state funds combined, made a huge difference. When I was in the town of Ording in Pierce County, same deal. Their experience with this flood, with infrastructure put in recently, compared to not that many years ago, was night and day. So you're trying to figure out, I was on a call with my team this morning about this, right, of getting folks together to figure out from an infrastructure standpoint as a state, what can we do that helps different communities. I think, Mary, you said in all your years, this was the biggest one you'd seen, right? This was historic. River levels were at a historic level. So, but I think coming out of this experience, I think we've had, I think our first responders, everybody on the ground, individuals helping neighbors have done a fantastic job. But in any experience like this, I think it's important to go back and look at the experience, right? Where are there things we can do differently based on what's happened? And so that's certainly be a part of this. Right now, we're obviously focused on what we need to focus on, right? One thing at a time. Our plate's pretty full right now for everybody, right? But there's no question we'll be having that conversation at the appropriate time.
And Governor, looking ahead to the future, after I suppose the Highway 2 is taken care of, what's the next step of that reflection? I know when I spoke to you last in Whatcom County, you were stressing how concerned you were for the levees around Washington. So I'm just wondering what the next step is after this.
Well, it's a whole examination, right, of this natural disaster is historic for our state. I mean, it is a massive, massive event for our state. And so it's no one thing. It's no one highway. It's no one levee. It's no one anything, right? But obviously, the levee system, I'm deeply grateful. The National Guard's been patrolling it Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. They're out there watching that levee, right now. We don't yet know that. That's another good example. Just like we don't know what we're going to see with that bridge when we get a chance to fully look at it, we don't know for the levee system. Everything I hear from the experts is we got to wait for that water to come down and then see what the impact is for historic stress on that system for now going on 2 full weeks, over 2 weeks now. I've had experts say, prepare yourself, Bob, for there could be some challenges there and some investments that might need to be made. So all that's part of that conversation, right, that we're going to have once we have a chance to see what the total scale is of the impact. And also once we get through what's right in front of us, we really have to make sure we're doing everything we can on this request for disaster relief, get our highways open. That's our focus right now. Yep.
With that area being the detour of the Chumstick Highway, is that prepared to handle that level of traffic with, not that many people travel that road typically and ground saturated? Is there worry around that at all?
I would say that, as I said when I spoke earlier, it's going to take patience and time. It's not the same as traveling, say, a straight interstate. It's a local route. So we want people to limit their use. This is not a US 2 from Leavenworth to Skykomish route. So we want you to pack your patience, be prepared for winter conditions, and drive appropriately. So we will monitor that usage going forward.
Secretary, if there is extensive damage, is there like a summer plan in the sense when it comes to fire season? For offering help and support in that area?
If that roadway is damaged by our use, we will work with the locals to bring it back to appropriate use. Okay. That's normal practice across the state.
Thanks so much, everybody. I want to thank Mayor Flory again for joining us. And we will be on Tuesday. We'll let you know if that changes, but I think you can count on Tuesday morning. We'll be up in Skykomish. Looking forward to that, checking out the bridge. And if something changes, we'll let you know. But at this point, we believe we'll be able to make an announcement one way or the other, right, about what the short-term future is on access to Stevens Pass from the west side, from Skykomish, and look forward to sharing that with the public then. Thank you all. We know it's the day after Christmas, and so we deeply appreciate all of you. Hope you had a great holiday season, and deeply appreciate those who are out there on the holidays, like the National Guard, who are doing everything they can to make our community safe during a really challenging time. But thanks to all of you for being here. We really appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.